Hey guys, Tarke here, and today I want to give some general sort of league thoughts and tips and show off a little bit of the build, but this is mostly just kind of a Tarke talks about Incursion now that we're 2 weeks into Incursion. Before I get into the gameplay, one thing I just want to recommend to people, SSF by the way, try and get into the habit of rolling 11 maps at a time. So this is a really big thing for me personally. I don't know if anyone else had this problem, but I found with Incursion League I was kind of struggling to sort of maintain momentum through the mapping process, and I kept feeling like I was being interrupted, and I feel like a lot of that was just because I wasn't rolling my maps to match up with Alva. I often felt like I couldn't properly get into the flow of mapping. Once I started rolling my maps in bulk of 11, because after 11 incursions you get a temple, everything felt much smoother and it gives you a very clear, like, defined goal to go for. So yeah, try and get into the habit of rolling your maps 11 at a time, and you can then time your play sessions around that, and you know, it always just gives you a nice clear goal to get forward to. You never get kind of broken up in the gameplay. Also, Incursion is really, really profitable, so I've had some people tell me they've been skipping Incursion. No bueno, never skip Incursion. Incursion is a good time. People sort of wondering, like, what are the main kind of rooms that I really go for? Pretty bog standard, same rooms that everyone else goes for. But the main ones are Storage Room. Storage Room is very consistent. Currency Room is very consistent. Glittering Halls, that's the Jewelry one. Those are the three of the most consistent. So Jewelry Room, Storage Room, Currency Rooms, and Map Room, sorry. Those four, super consistent. Try and get those all the times. The ones which are sometimes fun and ones that I chase way too much, the Sacrifice Unique. I've been picking, like, Sacrifice Unique over, like, Jewelry Rooms and stuff because it's fun, but to be honest, it's not that consistent. Obviously, same with the Corruption Room, because the Corruption Room is worthless unless you get it to tier 3. So with the Corruption Room, only pick it kind of early on, but mostly focus on the more consistent winners. Everything else, if you can get it to 3, great, otherwise don't really bother. So, now that that's sort of out of the way, I'll just put some random, you know, background footage on. What is the build I've currently been playing, and what are my current thoughts on the whole sort of league? So I've played 4 characters this league. I'm currently playing a Scorching Ray / Val Righteous Fire Occultist. That's my current build. I've played a Blade Vortex Elementalist. I played a Fire / Arc Trapper. I kept something between the 2 Saboteur. And I league started on a Scorching Ray Val Righteous Fire Trickster. The Scorching Ray Val Righteous Fire Trickster, I died day 1, just around about Act 6, Act 7, so that was slightly feels bad, man. From that, I went into the Elementalist Blade Vortex build. I played that through 90, and that was one of the builds I recommended in my League Starter series. Really popular build. There's reasons why everyone is playing that build. Rise recently got 100 on it, Nugi recently got 100 on it, Steel got 100 on it. It's a very popular build, very strong. From that, I then made a Trapper. The reason why I made a Trapper is I had a Tinker skin drop for me. And for anyone who's been watching the stream for a while, you know that I spent about 4 months trying to get a Tinker skin in SSF. I finally got it drop. I was having fun playing my Trapper, but the stream wasn't having that much fun with me playing my Trapper because, you know, everyone's kind of playing traps right now. And I didn't necessarily want to be just another streamer playing, you know, the same old trap build, so on and so forth. So I decided to re-roll it. And that's how I got into this current character, the Scorching Ray Occultist. Now, I've played a lot of Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray is it's one of those builds. I really enjoy it from a stream point of view. It's a very sort of chilled back, relaxed build. It doesn't really require any gear, so it's very good for SSF. And it's also a very, like, chat-friendly build when you play it in an occultist form. Because you have Blasphemy Auras keeping you very safe, it means that if you ever, like, are distracted looking at chat, or you've got random tech issues, really common with the stream, and your attention is diverted from the game for a second, you've got a very high raw HP pool, and you've got Blasphemies keeping you A-okay. So that's why I keep going back to this build. If people go, why does he play so much Scorching Ray? So, this build is basically based off the build I played last league, also very similar to a build that Waggle plays last league. I'm a huge fan of Waggle's content, so a lot of the time you'll see me and Waggle playing quite similar builds, because I'm like, wow, that's a really cool idea. Then I try and put my own spin on it, and, you know, we often play quite similar things. You know, we've had a similar case history with playing, like, bow builds, etc. Anyway, we have a similar-ish playstyle that Free's a much better player, but that's beside the point. Oh, one other thing I want to recommend, when it comes to keeping the map flow feeling good, if you have a dump tab, use a dump tab for your 11 maps. So everything you loot, just dump in the tab. Do not look at it. Do your best to ignore it. And then after your temple, you can then sort through it. And then you get into this very like nice, clean pattern of play where you like run your 11 maps, run your temple, sort through your loot, continue. And if you do it that way, your stash stays nice and tidy. Everything feels nice and smooth. But anyway. Now, there are a few builds that I have on the horizon that I really, really want to play. The one build that I've been dying to play recently has been Explosive Arrow, actually. I know that Rise has recently started playing Explosive Arrow, though, so that's kind of like put it on the back burner for me. It's not a priority pick anymore. So I think the next build you'll probably see from me is probably going to be something like a Ignite-based Fireball build, maybe. Probably going Trickster. Now, the reason why I mention all of this, and I'm like, okay, but get this back into tips for Incursion, Tarke. I have lots of builds that I've played already this league, and lots of builds that I want to play in the future, but I'm not re-rolling. And it's important, especially if you play SSF, to try and force yourself not to re-roll all the time. It's a very easy trap to get stuck in, where you're just re-rolling build after build after build. The main way of getting items to drop, cool items to drop, is to just map. This is true of both Trade League and SSF. In Trade League, the best way of getting currency is just to map a lot. The longer you stay on one character, the more currency you have. The more currency you have, the more flexibility you have when it comes to making builds. And with SSF, the more you map, the more uniques drop. There are lots of builds that I really want to play based off of uniques. I've been wanting to do a Arc Lightning Bolt Poet's Pen build for like 3 leagues now. But I've never had 2 Poet's Pens in SSF. I've always only ever had 1. The best way of getting that, to be honest, is just to keep mapping and stuff will eventually drop. So I'm planning on kind of playing this Occultist build up until the high 90s. I've had a level 100 once before. I did get 100 in Mayhem. Since then, my highest have been like 95s and stuff. And I've never really gone past that again. I might go for 100 again. The reason why I'm kind of interested to go for 100 again on the Scorching Rate, Bile Righteous Fire, Occultist, aside from just it's a good way to force myself to collect items for other builds, CI in SSF feels very rewarding because so much of your gear is self-crafted. Yes, sometimes you get lucky and an amazing CI item drops, but most of the gear that you have is something you've made yourself. And because of that, it's very easy to set regular goals. And because I'm currently using a Balefire especially, there are like multiple stages of, I want to do this, into doing this, into doing this. There are loads of different ways I could take this build. So if I wanted to, I could go low life. I'm not planning, but if I wanted to, I could go low life, in which case I would farm something like Tribunal for the Shavs cards. If you set your mind to it, you can quite easily farm a Shavron's Wrapping from div cards over a weekend. Very achievable. I purposely don't want to do that though, because a lot of the scary damage in Incursion is chaos based. CI makes me immune to chaos damage, which mitigates a lot of the stuff, which is very nice for hardcore. Also, this build is incredibly starved on links, and when fully geared does enough damage. Waggle quite happily farmed Uber Elder with this build last league, and this build has only been buffed since the last patch. So there isn't really any excuse or any real need to go for low life. I'm fine as is, just doing the current setup, just, you know, improving the character bit by bit. That's like one avenue I can go down. One of the really exciting new uniques that came out in this league is the Apep Shield. Now the Apep Shield is a drop from the tier 3 Poison Room for all my SSF boys. So you farm the tier 3 Poison Room, then you get the base shield drop, and then you can upgrade it by getting a special vial dropping off the Omnitech. I'm currently trying to get the special vial to drop off the Omnitech. That is my one big complaint that I have about Incursion League. I love it, it's probably my favorite league, except for the vials. The vials are really dumb because they're not very good for Trade League and they're not very good for SSF. So there are like 10 or something different vials. They're fairly common, but because there's so many of them and there's no way of controlling what loot the Omnitech drops, you can't farm the Poison Room to try and get the Poison Vial to drop more often. It's just complete RNG. They're common enough that in Trade League, they're worth like a Chaos. And it's like, who cares? But they're also uncommon enough and are not target farmable, then SSF, they're a pain. So that to me feels really strange. So a lot of people say, Tarke, you never want to balance the game around SSF. Well, It's all about balancing the game around SSF, but the vials, at least for the niche uniques, currently aren't doing their job, I'd argue, in Trade League either. If you have something which is so common in Trade League that it's like less than a chaos, but is nigh impossible to target farm in SSF, and there's no like, oh, you know, re-level a character to Act 5 to get another threshold jewel, etc. It's really frustrating. So basically, I just have to keep spinning the dice on the Omnitech and pray and hope that eventually I get it to drop. Brilliant. But anyway, if I eventually get it to drop, the Apex Shield is a huge boon to this build. It has 50% faster start of any shield recharge. It has bleed damage is turned into chaos damage, so any bleeds I take don't do physical, then I'll do chaos damage, which means as CI, I become immune to all bleeds. Not only is this very nice defensively, it also frees up a flask lock, since I now need bleed removal of my flasks. So that opens up more status ailment options, be it shock or ignite immunity, or another unique flask. So that alone opens up a lot. The 50% fast start of any shield recharge scales incredibly well with Occultist. And fully geared, you can get your ES recharge to recharge faster than a second. Very powerful when it comes to like just bossing or raw defense. And it has a decent amount of just like base energy shield on it. And even more than that, it has, if you've been poisoned recently, 3, or if you're affected by poison, I believe it is, 3 additional max res. And it gives you a chance to like poison yourself. So it's one of those things, if you have the shield, you take any chaos damage, you get poisoned, you then get a bunch of max res, makes you bleed immune, faster recharge, amazing. So that's something I'm trying to farm for. I'm trying to chance an Incandescent Heart. Incandescent Heart, just a very strong item for CI builds. 25% of elemental damage converts into chaos damage, so you basically just mitigate all of that. Or I'm also trying to collect a decent Shaper ES chest. Now, the reason I want decent Shaper ES chest is you can roll +1 to additional level of gems. So if I could get like a 300-ish energy shield Shaper chest with +1 level of gems, move my Scorch Ray over there, drop my Balefire, and then I could either craft a Scepter with a bunch of elemental damage and burning damage, or I can then farm a bunch of Zeros to try and get Dorani's Catalyst. So you can see how there are so many goals and ways that you can like min-max a character just in these small things. And a lot of it is based around farm this particular type of content, or do a bunch of self-crafting in terms of shape things, or just like rolling good shields, rolling good helms. So there's lots of like small upgrade style things, and gear upgrades just feel so much more impactful on CI than it does in life builds. Because with a lot of life builds, it's kind of like, okay, you've got your okay-ish helm, and maybe you spend an extra 20x and you gain maybe like 100, 200 more flat life. But with this CI build, it's like a badly geared CI build is like 8k energy shield, and then a well-geared CI build is like 11, 12k energy shield. So the goals really feel not only achievable, but also kind of worthwhile. So, yeah. That's kind of my rant. Roll your maps in terms of 11. I love Incursion League. I hate the Vial system. Expect me to play a Fireball Ignite-based Trickster, either when this character rips, or I decide, actually, I don't want another 100. I could do a build guide on it, but it's currently in between a bunch of gearing, so I don't really want to. Waggle has got guides out on his past version of this build from last league, and you can always look at my profile if you want to copy the exact setup. But yeah, it's a very tanky character, it's a very safe character. It's far from the best map clear, it really isn't the best map clear, but it's just a very nice all-rounder character, and it's the perfect kind of build if you just want to like farm all the content. For anyone wondering what I'm doing Atlas-wise, I do want to do some bosses this league. Since I don't really do bosses very often, this is on a character which can boss. So I'm going full Atlas completion so I can chase Elder and basically roleplay Waggle. So yes, I'm Tarke. This is a build. Incursion is amazing, by the way. If you have any specific videos that you would like from me, let me know. Have a good day. Bye-bye.